Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. My name is Jason and this is the latest new tool model kit from Airfix. It's in 1:35 scale and it's the Avis FV622 Stalwart Mark II, and I have been looking forward to this. It's first impressions time, people. Yes, first impressions time, and I have been so looking forward to this because I saw this built up at the Bolton model show right back in January. Airfix had a tiny stand there with one or two of their new releases built up, and this was one of them. And I've got to say, it looked absolutely stunning. So I've been looking forward to this. We are going to be building this very, very soon. So if you want to make sure you don't miss how this comes together and some thoughts at the end of the build, then hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you know when it's coming out. And don't forget to hit the like button as you watch the video. That's the thumbs up underneath the video. It costs you nothing and it helps me immensely. Right, with all that said, let's have a look at this. It's actually a bigger box than I was expecting. It's I guess standard depth, but it is a little bit bigger. We've got a nice bit of artwork of this vehicle in action, and it's sort of, I think the vehicle's amphibious, and it's sort of implying it's about to do some water work. The kit number is A1381, which means at least for this release you won't be able to use your flying hours to get hold of it. And yeah, I think the artwork looks nice. The box is corrugated upper and lower, so it's a fairly sturdy box. The sides of the box emulate what's on the top, and then when we look on this side here, we can see it is tooling design 2025, decal schemes and pack design 2025, made in India. Cartograph decals, so all standard stuff for Airfix. And when I look at this side, we've got a little bit of history, the paint markings, of which there is 3. It tells us it's a skill level 3, and it comes with 3 flying hours. We've also got listed here our Humbrol paint callouts, and basically we're using the same paints for all 3 paint schemes, so you need all of those paints. Let's have a look at our 3 different schemes. We've got scheme A, which has some black camouflage on the basic green vehicle. British Army of the Rhine, exercise, Spear Point Crusader, West Germany, 1980. Then we've got D Squadron, 4th Royal Tank Regiment, British Army of the Rhine, West Germany, 1981. Slightly, subtly different camouflage scheme. And then our 3rd one here is the Royal Army Ordnance Corps. How do you say that? Ludgershall Vehicle Depot, England, 1969. So you've got 2 that are very similar and 1 that's a bit different with no camouflage, so you've got your options there. And then we've got a little bit of history, but if you look closely underneath, it tells us the length of the model at 184mm, width is 90, and that we have 211 parts. I don't know if we have any parts that we don't use for future releases and so on. But it does say here in the history, one of the most distinctive military vehicles to ever see British military service. And I'd completely agree with that, and we'll read the rest of it later. Right, so I've already had a quick poke round in the box. So the bag's opened. Everything was in one bag and a separate bag for the clear parts. Standard approach for Airfix. As you can see, it's in the green plastic that they used for the little scout car that they released a year or two back. So we'll have a look at the parts in a moment, but first let's have a quick look at the instructions. So our instructions are typical Airfix. They are portrait, they are colour, they are lovely and matte, so they're nice and easy on the eye, you don't get any reflection, and they're stapled. We have a little bit of history, repeating what's on the box, I would suspect. Tells you to wash your parts before you get going. Then we get on to our assembly instructions, basically telling you to read it properly so that you don't make any mistakes. Then we've got our assembly icons. They all look fairly standard to me. And then we have what is a very standard presentation of the instructions. We have step-by-step broken down instructions, which include not just the part numbers, but also our paint instructions as well as we go. So that's standard approach. You can see wherever you see a little paintbrush, it's telling you to paint with the Humbrol colours that were on the box. So let's have a look. We're starting at step 1, and it looks like we're doing underneath of the vehicle. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. That's sort of a side piece right in the centre there, and then they're showing you an inside view. You've got some drilling to do, and Airfix tell you the diameters, and then they give you a side profile so you can see what you're doing, 90 degrees angle of drilling. Then we're putting what I think is the other side on, and you're doing exactly the same again. So it doesn't show you one side and say and the same on the copy on the other side or something like that, like some manufacturers do. They show it you for fullness, and I do like that about Airfix instructions. Then we're putting an end piece on. All of these pieces look really detailed. It'll be interesting to see them in a moment in the plastic. Step 5, we're building up what looks like a seat to me, yes. And then that follows through steps 6, 7 and 8, and then we're installing it in 9, putting some form of box in, looks like a toolbox or something like that. Or alternatively, you can put another seat in. Doesn't actually tell you if that option applies to any of them particularly. So if this was a Tamiya instruction book, it would say put that in for scheme A and put that in for scheme B and C, for example. Airfix are just giving you an option. I have no idea. I would suspect maybe put the seat in for the earlier one and put that in for the later one, but they've left it to you to do it at your whim. And then we have another seat going in on the other side. So I'm guessing we must have made 3 of those up. Yeah, not sure. Anyway, then we've got gear shift, handbrake by the looks of it. Steering wheel is for the center position, which is interesting. For you sort of expect it to be on the right side of the vehicle, but there you go, it's in the center. That obviously felt that gave them some advantage. Then we've got some bottles of some type going in, canisters, in step 14, again telling you how to paint it all up. Step 15, some other form of box. I don't know anything about this vehicle, but we are going to mount the dashboard on it in the next step, so I'm guessing it's got electrics in it. Then we've got more levers going in. This might be to do with the fancy suspension and drives system on it. And then here we have got options where it does tell you this is absolutely for option B and this is absolutely for A and C. Therefore what we saw earlier was you know, modeller's choice. And we're building up what looks like the battery there. It doesn't tell you what it is, but it looks like the battery and its housing going into there. And I must say we've got decals going on there as well. You might want to break those up a little bit. Then 19, we've got what looks like a bulkhead, but we've got decals going onto these little canister things on the side. Oh, fire extinguishers. Okay. Then we've got this going on. This builds up the rear bulkhead. So all of this stuff you're gonna see in the cabin. So it's a very intricate cabin they're building up there. You know, they haven't skimped on the detail in the cabin. They haven't gone, well, it'll be hard to see in, so we'll just put a blank wall in. So yeah, lots of detail. Love that. Step 22, we've got cabin sides going in. How did you get into it? Where's the door? You get in from the top or something. More drilling to do. A couple of holes. Again, 1mm. Another fire extinguisher. They were obviously worried about the electrics, weren't they? So we're doing that, doing it again there, and then applying those side pieces. Then we've got the front part of the cab going in. Okay, more hole drilling going on. And then we're putting the roof on. The roof's got 2 openings. So is that so they can get in and out of the cab? Is that how that worked? Or is that doors on the side there? Someone knows, and I'm sure they're going to leave a comment to inform me. I might have to Google that. I'm sure there'll be a video somewhere about how to get in and out of one of these. Then we're turning our attention, step 28, to the rear, where we've got the tail lights there and various bits of assembly going on to that. Then we're making up some form of box, and then we're building up an exhaust housing, and again we've got different arrays depending on whether you're doing A, B or C. So a more simpler version for the older version, and then a bit more complexity, double silencers by the looks of it for the 80s one. So that goes in the opposite side of whatever that was we built, and then we put in the flatbed on the top, so that looks like it's nicely detailed as well. And then there's a little panel going in there to carry that on. We've got some little detail parts going in, and then we've got some form of bulkhead going in there. So I think the sides drop down on this vehicle rather than the end. I think that's how it works. Okay, step 38, vehicle's upside down. We're starting to build up the suspension. So we've got this long rod, and then we're putting these parts in, which I'm guessing are some form of McPherson strut. Tells you to build it in sequence. Step 1, then step 2, tells you not to glue them. Step 3, apply glue to the area in yellow only, so that's where they are seated, so you want them loose through this little collar here. So you can see what that looks like. Nice that they've done that for you. Step 40, building up these little parts. These are what we're going to hang the wheels off. So you basically build these up and then they click into place here. I guess that's going to work then. I guess you've got wheels that you can pose in a steered position. So I wasn't expecting that, so that's really nice. Yeah, does tell you to fit it in the correct place though. So yeah, I think they might be poseable. I might be wrong, but I think they might be. Why else would you do it and not glue them in? I think that must be poseable. We've got some other small parts going on, all related to the suspension, and looks like steering rod or something. No idea what that is, or to be honest, what that is. These all look like some form of grab handles underneath. So what that's for, I don't know. They might not be grab handles, but it's what they look like. Then the instructions take you back through the whole process again for the other side, which is lovely, especially for younger modelers, because it used to throw me when I was, you know, like 12, 13. It used to throw me that they showed you, Matchbox, for example, would show you one side and then say do on the other side, and you think, yeah, but how? So I like the fact that they do that and take the time to do that. It's absolutely worth it. Okay, so that's all copying what we've already done. Then we've got some more, the bottom of the unit of 3 drives. So you've actually got 6 independent suspension units here, haven't you? And then there's a panel being fitted underneath. You can see it there. And we've got our wheel mounts on. So I reckon you can build all of that up before you paint. So that's pretty cool. Then we've got some towing hooks going on the front, grab handles going on. Then we're putting the clear parts in from the front. Looks like we've got moulded in wipers. Don't know whether that, well, it does bother me. I mean, that's crying out for photo etch, isn't it? Because firstly, it's more difficult to paint. Secondly, it means you have to have the wipers where they say you're having the wipers. So that's absolutely begging for a little bit of photo etch, little tiny fret. 3 windscreen wipers on, it cost them nothing. Airfix can do photo etch. They do it on their Hornby trains all the time. Come on guys, a little bit of photo etch, it won't hurt you, it really won't. You can do it. Anyway, let's move on. 75 options around aerial base there. Then we've got a front piece, leading edge of the roof going on, and then on the back we've got sort of towing points and things like that going on. Not quite sure what those are. We're building up some stuff on the back there, so that looks like a jack block, some tools, so a pickaxe, a shovel, some fuel cans, although I think they might say water on them actually. Then we've got stowed position for driving and open position for swimming. So, okay. I have seen these in action, and it's basically pushing the water to keep it away from the windscreen, keeping the windscreen as dry as possible. It's really interesting. Apply decals to top surface. Okay. What decals? There's no decal number being called out. Apply decals to top surface. Which decals? Maybe it'll come clear in the paint instructions. Right. Then we've got bin lids going on. It must be how they get in and out of that. Anyway, youngsters game getting in and out of these military vehicles, so it probably doesn't matter. Then we've got the side pieces going on. It's not saying you've got an option to have it in the down position, and if it's the case that you can only have them up, that's rather disappointing. You won't be able to model them down. Same with the tailgate here. You want to be able to have it in a down position. Surely you can. No, I mean, we'd have to have a look at it, because that's a real shame. That's a missed opportunity there. Oh well. Then we're on building up the wheel hubs, which are separate to the plastic tyres, and I can see sidewall writing on these tyres. That's a first for Airfix. Then we've got mud guards going on. Then we've got clear parts, so there'll be reflectors, I would suspect. Then we've got, oh, they haven't. Yeah, see, again, there's a heat cover over the exhaust, and rather than putting a bit of photo etch in, they've gone for a clear part. Whoa, that's oh dear. Right, 95. We've got lamps being built up and put in place. Spot lamp as well, and then we've got a centre rod going on, and that goes into place regardless of whether you're going to put this tarpaulin on or not. Tarpaulin's a different colour, so it does break the vehicle up a little bit, and that's it. So we have 100 steps in total, so that's not overly big. Vehicle looks nicely detailed, doesn't it? Although there's a couple of, well, we'll come to that in the roundup at the end. Right, there's our paint instructions. I'm not seeing anything for the top edge of this water scoop thing. Anyway, got decal positions, fairly easy to paint. Paint it all green and then mask that in, paint it black. Paint that separately, plop it on top, job's a good one. So you've got 6 paints being shouted out, plus the interior colours and things that have been called out as we've gone along. Most of those people would have in, although the matte 75 bronze green isn't something a lot of people keep on stock. So that might be one that you've got to buy. I'm not sure I've got 75. Then we've got the same here. This appears to have more decals. It's got markings on the side. Yeah, so it's got the similar number on the front and then a few more on the side. So although they're very similar, there's different markings. And it seems to have a name plate as well. And then this one, much more simple and fewer decals. There you go, that's the instructions done. Shall we have a look at the decals? So we don't have a lot of decals here like you might get on an aircraft or something, but they have given us nice decals to go on the fire extinguishers and the nicely done dials for the dashboard there. Although these bigger dials here, they could have done those as individuals. They're big enough to be individuals, but they've got decal film on, which means you're going to see the decal film. It's really hard to pat them down, so I would recommend, at least with the big ones, cutting those out. But to be honest, if you cut all the dials out, you could paint the rest of it. It's easy enough. It's just bulbs, little lenses being painted, and that will look better in my view. Then we've got number plates. We've got that name for that one version. Eyes, I didn't notice that on them, but obviously it goes on one. The little Avis manufacturer's mark, the Union flag as it's a British vehicle, and yeah, nothing wrong with those. They're cartograph, so in terms of decals, they will be as good as you can get. So yeah, no issues there. So we're going to start with the clear parts, and so clear parts, and they are beautifully clear, really crystal clear, as you expect from Airfix. I don't see any distortion. It's a tiny bit around the edges, nothing I'm going to get my knickers in a twist about. The wipers on the glass, whilst they're done really well, it's not pulling the glass shape out of shape, it's not creating distortion, and it's lovely crisp moulding. It's done very well. Some modelers, particularly younger, less experienced modelers, may find it a struggle to paint those up neatly. And as I said when we're looking through the instructions, it's absolutely begging for a bit of photo etch, as are these. I mean, why have they done them as clear parts? There's a very, very subtle indentation on it. You can see the pattern. It's very, very subtle. I don't understand why they've done it in clear parts, unless for some reason the clear plastic holds them better or makes them crisper. So we seem to have 3 parts, which would be some form of mesh, and they've done it in the clear plastic, and that's going to do 2 things. Firstly, it's making the parts really, really thick, and secondly, you're not going to be able to see through it as mesh. You're relying on a wash to highlight it as a mesh. They did the same thing on the Whippet, and it detracted from that kit, and it detracts from this kit as well. Again, this is absolutely begging for photo etch. So if this was a mini art kit, that and the wipers was absolutely 100% be photo etch, and that kit would be better just because of it. So whilst these clear parts are excellent and really well presented, I do have those 2 gripes, and that means the kit's not as good as it could be in my view. But let's carry on and look at the rest of the plastic parts. Okay, here we go. This is frame A. We've got some of the major components for the body, the bulkhead, the cabin, what have you. And the first thing that's hitting me in the light is sink. Let me just show you. Sink, 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 sink. I mean, I know it's supposed to be amphibious, but this isn't going to float, is it, with all this sink? What an absolute disaster. Yeah, I mean, this should be nice and smooth, and it looks like it's got canning on it. There's so much sink in it. It is not good. It really is not good. I mean, it's like 1990s Airfix. Everything we didn't like of Airfix back again. And the sink here. I mean, everywhere there is detail on the other side, there is sink on the smooth surfaces on the outer side. Some of it might not show up under paint, but a good proportion of it is going to. What? Oh dear. Yeah, and some of it is more severe than others as well, but yeah, I mean, everything just looks a little bit lumpy and bumpy. Right, but the detail level is nice. The moulding is crisp, and yeah, we've got nice fine detail of pipework and electrical cables. That's very nice. I'm not sure about this in the windows. I thought it was flash at first, but there's actually detail on the other side. I think there is a little bit of flash on there. Yeah, there is. So we've got flash as well as sink. There is some ejector pin marks there that you're going to have to clear up. They will be visible, absolutely. Same in the roof. I suspect they will be visible as well. And on the inside of the cab. Some of them are hidden under boxes, but others aren't. I guess that was unavoidable. Same with the bin lids, especially if you want to have them open. You're going to see that. All of these in the main, I think, will be hidden. There's only that area that's going to be visible, I think, and yeah, nothing there. But yeah, they've done a nice job. They've done a really nice job of the detailing, the crispness of the moulding. Yeah. Right, I will take some close-up photos and we'll show them all together at the end. Right, our next sprue out is frame D. We've got wheel hubs on, lots of the suspension parts. So all things that we're sort of working on. So they've grouped them together. That's really nice. Another thing I'd like to show you, because so many kit manufacturers don't do this. Tamiya do, but another one doesn't spring to mind that do this. we've got the recycling information on there, so you can recycle these sprues. Don't cut them up, keep them as whole as possible so that that applies to everything, and chuck them in your recycling bin when you're done. So yeah, the parts here all seem to be nicely done. Lots of ejector pins on the surfaces that you're going to be gluing and cleaning up, so that's really nice. The hubs are actually two parts, so you've got the main hub and then you've got a little center hub that goes in. Yeah, and the detail is lovely, and I'm not seeing any issues with that, so that is really nice. Lovely bolt detail on the wheel hubs. Yeah, that is all good. Okay, this is frame E. We've got the fire extinguishers, the tools, what looks like radio equipment, and then the jerry cans, which have got the straps moulded on, which is a shame because you're going to have to sand those off to deal with all the, you guessed it, sink. Tons of it. We're going to talk about that in the roundup. We're going to talk in detail about what causes sink and what Airfix should be doing about it, because it's getting beyond a joke now. And then we've got this wooden jack block which has some basic, well, let's be honest, it's crude and it doesn't look great, and I would rather it was completely smooth so I could do a wood grain paint effect. That would look much more in keeping. I mean, that's sort of 1970s toy soldier type crude. That's just not good, that. Sprue B, and we have some slide moulding going on. So we've got these covers here, and what they've done is to slide moulded the seam, the bolted seam that goes around the side. So yeah, then we've got the side pieces and gates and things for the back. This is all pretty much connected to the rear of the vehicle. We've got the deck there, that separate piece that goes in, which has a little lifting handle, so must have been a separate piece on the actual vehicle. We've got the bulkhead that you mount, that's the cabin bulkhead. The exhausts, which have a very crude hollowing out. Yeah. I think in the main we're not going to see any ejector pin marks. But what you are going to see is more sink. We've got it there, we've got it there, we've got it there, we've got it there. We've got it there, 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 there. I mean, it's every single part that has any form of detail. We've got sink, and it's simply not good enough in 2025. It's poor, really, really poor. And I'm now just focusing on the sink and not looking at all the lovely detail that's been put into this, because the kit's a bit of a mess. There's even more sink here. This is sprue G, and you can see we're dealing with the roof of the trailer section, the flatbed section, if you like, of the vehicle. We've got the post there that goes across the top, and then we've got three parts that make up the tarpaulin, and we have some very nice texturing on the tarpaulin. It's been very nicely done, looks natural, looks good. The ends, however, less so. If you look at that, there is no texturing in there. They would have been better doing those as separate parts. Because they've not slide moulded them, you've got some limitation in the moulding, and the result is they lack detail, they look toy-like, and they really spoil it. And then bizarrely, when we get to these two parts here, which have got again some nice texturing in, although it does seem to be the same texturing repeated, which is a pity, but there you go. This one has nice little eyes, raised eyes in it. You can just about see those. You'll see them in the close-up pictures. This one doesn't. So on one side, they've put the nice detail in, raised eyes, and when you thread it with some thread, it'll look really nice. Means you can highlight them in a little bit of brass, show where the paint's worn off, you know. And then on this side, they've not put them on at all. And that has gone through quality control. You know, design. I mean, that's a design error, isn't it? Okay, let's move on. Right, our final sprue C, and you can see we've got all sorts of little bits that are going on the vehicle, and some bits for the wheels, some bits for inside the cabin, and then the tyres. And the first thing that strikes you is we do have some sidewall writing. It says Goodyear on them. It does have the little logo. There's no sizes or, you know, the numbers and things that you get on there. It gives you the sizes and stuff. There's none of that on there. You do have the nice little diamond pattern on, which is common on these tyres. They all have quite a lip of seam, so when you've glued it together and sand it, you'll be getting rid of that anyway, so that's not an issue. And they don't look too bad at all, and the sidewall writing will really add to it, so that's a nice little touch. And then as we move over to here, we've got the seats, which have got a little bit of texturing in, but again, it's a cut and paste job. It's a little bit lazy. It's the same texturing on those two seats, so he's done it on one, copied and pasted it on the other. No one's going to notice, or are they? Then we've got seat back there. It's got some nice texturing in, and then we've got that some loads of tiny little parts. The moulding detail is all nice. There's some lovely detail on here, nice and crisp. Some of the buckles are simplified, which means that some of this detail is probably simplified as well. Steering wheel looks nicely done. It's not got finger grips on the back, but I don't know whether it had at this point in time. And then you've got the folded and opened sort of water scoop there with nicely done, albeit slightly basic rivets, riveted on hinges, I should say. Mud guards, they're a bit thick, but you'd expect that in plastic. You could probably swap them out if you wanted to. But they look okay to me. I wouldn't bother swapping them. So yeah, and then we've got the dials, a little bit of sink in them, but your dial's going over it, so not sure it'll be visible. There's a lot of release agent on this. Not that that's an issue, just wash your parts. Yeah, I think they might be rear view mirrors. I've got a moulding issue in there. Can you see that? That's supposed to be smooth. I've got lumps in there. This is my deployed blade, and I've got 4 risen, thankfully, ejector pin marks, so a lot of clean up to do to sort that out. But everything else looks good, sturdy, nicely done. No bulbs in the lamps, so you put those in yourself if you wish to. But yeah, all very nice. Right then. Right then, we'll show you some close-up detail shots, and then we'll get stuck into the summary. This isn't going to be a short wrap-up, I'm afraid. So there we have it, the Airfix 1:35 scale Avis Stalwart Mark II. It almost sounds like a record B-side or something, doesn't it? What is my first impressions? I think you've picked up on what we might be talking about, but we're going to run this through the numbers as we always do. So packaging, better than average for many kit manufacturers. A nice sturdy box. It came in a good thick corrugated shipper. I bought this direct from Airfix. It was one of the pre-orders from January, which was also packed with brown paper, and that shipper had taken a good old whack and my kit was safe. So kudos to Airfix for the packaging. The actual box itself is a little bit oversized for the kit. The plastic bag of parts is moving around in there. That means if you're buying one now and putting it in your stash and might not visit it for 10 years, expect to find parts have come off and that you've got lots of scuffing on the surfaces of your parts. But don't worry, most of it you're going to have to sand when you're sanding all that filler in the sink away. We'll come back to that. So packaging is okay. Instructions, fabulous, no issues at all with the instructions. Airfix instructions are class leading. I maintain that nobody does instructions as well as Airfix because they're simple, they're clear, they're easy to follow. Doesn't matter whether you're a seasoned modeler or this is the first time you've ever picked a model up, you can follow those instructions and get from A to B without any problems. Brilliant instructions, and I love the fact that they're matte, they're nice and easy on the eye, so when I'm modelling with my great big lamp blaring out all this light, it's not bouncing off shiny, glossy, supposed to look nice instructions and hurting my eyes and actually giving me fatigue. So I really like the Airfix instructions. Don't ever change the format whatever you do Airfix. The decals are really good, nice and clear. My only comment would be you might want to remove at least some of the larger dials and put them in separately to reduce the amount of decal film you've got on your dashboard on the model as you build it. But because of the cartograph, they're nice and clear, the register is good, the colour saturation is good. Excess decal film is reduced to the absolute minimum, no problems whatsoever. Now then, we come to the plastic parts, and I usually deal with the plastic parts as the parts in their own right, but I'm going to break this down into two different things. We're going to talk about part design and we're going to talk about part manufacture, and we're going to talk about those separately. So when it comes to the design of the parts, in the main, there's lots of detail in here. The moulding is crisp. They've picked out the core essence of the vehicle and they've done a very nice job of it in the main. There are some areas that I've got some concerns with. We'll talk about those in a moment, but we've got lovely detail that's been added. The suspension is well considered and reflects what you, when you consider, you do see the suspension at different angles. They have not ignored that. They could have just done a bulky mold it all in one piece on the side, but they haven't. They've broken it down, and that's a really good thing that they've done. The separate tyres, really nice. Sidewall writing, fabulous. Really great to see that. Some of the sprue gate positions bothered me a little bit. The fact that we've got some of the sprue gates going straight onto the part when they could have gone under the part. Airfix have done this before, where the sprue gate is mounted, it's almost like the part is mounted on the sprue gate. They've done it before in their aircraft kits, but they haven't done it in here, and particularly on the tarpaulin cover, the canvas cover, those quite thick sprue gates are going straight onto the side of that. They're on the side edge and they're into the top, so you've got a lot of cleanup and reshaping to do. And this is one of the little niggles I have with Airfix, that they have some really great ideas, but they don't bank them and then apply them to all their kits. You get them depending on who's designing the kit. So it's like the designer's had a good idea, but he's keeping it to himself. Come on, you work for Airfix, share it with the rest of the team. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea, and you should be using it on all your kits. It's how you improve as a whole. And, you know, Airfix have this real issue with different designers having different approaches, and you end up with different standards. And I've said this before. Yeah, we had some slide moulding, which was nice as well. Was it needed? Not sure, but they certainly felt it was. But then you've got some silliness, like clear plastic parts for the mesh. So I think in their mind they've gone, well, it's very see-through, the mesh, so we'll do it as a clear part. And that's a complete gaff. It really, really is. What they've done by doing it in the clear part is they've made it thick and chunky, because they can't get it as thin as they could do if it was the green plastic. And you're losing all of that as soon as you put paint on it, because the actual little dimples are oversized, or actually the mesh is oversized. So you can't actually achieve anything that looks like a mesh with a plastic part. It needs photo etch. And, you know, you can't tell me they can't do photo etch. They've done it in other kits. You know, they've done it in other vehicle kits recently. I know Academy make a lot of their kits, and Academy do a little bit of photo etch, but they can do it. There is no excuse for doing that cheap, horrible solution that does not work for the mesh. It's a mess, and it detracts from the kit. That should be photo etch. While we're on the clear parts, the windscreens with the moulded on wipers. Now, I guess you could be in two camps with this, but I'm going to go back to what I just said about Airfix having great ideas and then not capitalising on them. So on some of their kits, I'm thinking their recent helicopter releases, they've got a windscreen with the moulded on wiper blade, and then a windscreen with no blade on and a little hole in, so you can correctly mount aftermarket. They should have done that with this, but they haven't. But I guess that's just a different designer. So, you know, they need to stop working in silos and start sharing their ideas, because this is crying out for photo etch wipers. It's a great big thing on the front of the vehicle. You can't miss it. And while a lot of modelers will be able to paint it in and will be happy with it, with its position and everything, it still looks a bit on the chunky side, and it's absolutely begging to be photo etch. So for me, that's another didn't quite deliver. Got an issue with my wing mirror. It's got chunky bits of plastic on, like you used to see in the 70s. Where are we getting that? So in terms of the design, I think in the main it's good. I just don't like the clear plastic solution for that. That's dreadful. And I question why they didn't put a second windscreen in. It would have cost nothing. The plastic parts are the cheapest element of all of this. So, yeah. The windscreen, it's a minor niggle. The mesh, it's quite a major letdown, to be honest, in my view. But on the whole, the plastic parts, no real issue. What does become an issue, though, is the production. So I said we'd talk about the sink. Well, there's multiple reasons why you can get sink. One of the most common reasons is that where you've got a thick bit of plastic, and all of our sink was happening where you've got a flat surface and then you've got detail moulded onto the inside, which is why a lot of manufacturers don't do that. They'll separate the part and you'll have a separate part on the inside. And what happens is the outside of the plastic cools quicker than the inside of the plastic where it's thicker. And when the inside bit cools, it contracts and sucks it in and it creates sink. So that's one of the reasons that you can get sink. And that is just poor manufacturing. Another reason that you can get sink is insufficient packing pressure. So during the moulding, the tool fills with molten plastic under pressure, and if the pressure is too low or it's not maintained long enough, the shrinking plastic doesn't get enough additional material to compensate for the volume loss during cooling. So again, as it cools, it contracts in and it shrinks. Another reason that you could get sinking is if the mould is open too quickly and the plastic hasn't fully solidified, and the continued cooling outside of the mould leads to uneven shrinkage, and that will give you visible sink. Doesn't feel like that's the problem here, but it is one of the causes of sink. Different plastics can have a different resilience to sink, and I wonder if possibly the green plastic has different properties than the dark grey plastic, which is really, really nice to work with. And I haven't seen much in the way of sink. I have seen a little bit, but in the main I've not seen very much sink at all in that. And I wonder if putting different colour in or something like that changes the properties and this is more prone to sink. It's possible. But the one that thing that causes sink that would concern me the most is lack of it's poor mould design. So lack of proper ribbing or coring the parts that can be done, uniform wall thicknesses of the tool, all of that can lead to sink prone areas. So designers try to avoid thick spots or support them with proper internal geometry to minimise shrinking effects. And it just makes me wonder if the tool design has not been sufficient. Now, I don't really know what the problem is with the sink, but I'm a customer and I know that the sink is a problem. I was really looking forward to this kit. In fact, this I was hoping would be my kit of 2025. I was so excited, and it looked great built up at Bolton. It really did, and I came back and I said to my members, it looks awesome. And it's been a long time since I've been so disappointed with the kit. It is really, really poor that Airfix think they can send it out to people and it's acceptable in 2025. It is not acceptable. There is no excuse for all of that sink. Whatever the cause is, it can be resolved and should be resolved before your kits hit the market. And no delays cost money. Here's my worst case scenario. That Airfix are deliberately cutting money on the tooling to save money, and the result is we're getting poor kits. Now, all the evidence as I look at many Airfix kits is that is not the case, because I have had Airfix kits recently that have passed through the first impressions camera and I've said they're brilliant. You know, we had just a week or so ago we had the T9 Spitfire and it was beautiful. It was perfect. No flash, no sink. Lots of beautiful detail. It could be Tamiya, it could be Edward. It was stunning. This, it's like a 1990s re-release of a 1970s tool, and it's just not good enough. It really, really, really isn't. I always am honest. I've purchased this kit. I'm free to say what I like. Airfix release these kits in this condition at their own risk, because I'm banging on about how poor this kit is. That means some people will be put off buying it, inevitably. It means other people will think twice about buying an Airfix kit, inevitably. So this video is damaging Airfix, and I hate that because I love Airfix. I want Airfix to be the best model manufacturer in the world. It's the one thing I want more than anything. But they keep letting themselves down with these little niggles that we get. And every kit seems to have a little niggle. Almost every kit. But this one, This has loads. So this isn't a model that I'm going to build to put on my display case, but it is a model I'm going to build to see how it goes together. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to build it. We're not going to bother painting it. We're just going to clean up the parts, whack it together, and then I can do a view of the finished kit. But I'll tell you now that for some people, all of that sync means that it's not worth the effort to do this. If you're a seasoned modeler and you like your vehicles, this is great. And if you put the effort in, you'll come out with a nice model. And this is the real disappointment here. Airfix have come up with a brilliant idea to release this kit. The designer has put a lot of work into getting the kit right, and he's done a reasonably good job. It could be improved. I mean, you can see here you've got corrugations with the metal structure. That could have been done separately to build it up separately. It has been simplified and it's a little bit crude in places. I'm guessing maybe the designer's a bit more junior. But if you didn't have the sync, I'd be saying this is a really awesome kit. Yeah, it needs a little bit of work. Maybe wait for the aftermarket so we can tweak it up a little bit. Make sure you've bought one. That's what I'd be saying. But because of all the sync and because of some of the silliness there, and same here, I mean, that's a solid part in front of a lens. I mean, come on. I think this needs redeveloping before the re-release. I think it needs tweaking, and I think it needs photo etch, and I think Airfix need to get over themselves about flipping photo etch and bite the bullet and recognise that, that's what the customer wants. I'm the customer. I really wanted this kit, and now I'm not fussed about building it, so we'll just knock it together. And Airfix did that to me. So there you go. That's my thoughts. And I'm really disappointed that I've had to say those things. Really, really disappointed. I was so looking forward to that. Well, there you go. You now know my view. You know what's in the kit. You buy it after watching this video, knowing full well what you're getting yourself into. It's a lovely subject. And if you put the time and effort in, you can make an absolutely special display. But I would absolutely wait for the aftermarket, boys, because it needs some serious upgrading in parts and some tweaking in other parts. But yeah, there you go. You win some, you lose some, and this one's a lose. Right, thank you very much for looking in. If you thought that was handy and useful, don't forget to hit the like button. And until the next time, on one of my builds, tool reviews, product reviews, you enjoy your modelling. Bye for now.